Hey, what's up, Crypto Army? I'm Travis, your crypto newbie, bringing you my experiences so you don't have to learn things the hard way. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. None of my content should be viewed as financial advice. If you like what my content offers, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and turn on notifications so you get notified when I publish new content. It really helps the channel grow and get the content to others that might like it. So what are we going to talk about today? I thought we'd take a look at SafeAffinity, or Affinity, as it's most commonly called. Very interesting project. Now, full disclosure, I watched one of their AMAs 2 days ago, and in the middle of the AMA, I decided to buy. So I am an investor in this particular token. I was actually doing research for this video, and I planned on doing it that night or yesterday was kind of the plan. But when they saw that they had the AMA, I thought, okay, this is perfect timing because I do have some questions. There was a couple things I couldn't find on their website, and I thought it was maybe just an oversight and wasn't sure. So like I said, I try to give you guys accurate information. So when I see an AMA, the same day I'm looking at a project to do a review, why not? I jumped on. And I was impressed with what I saw. I have some concerns. Now, just because I purchased into this project doesn't mean I'm not going to give you my full, honest, unbiased opinion of the project. No different than if I hadn't bought. So it's going to be the exact same review. They did say that they had a previous version of the website and they recently updated it. So I think that some of the stuff was on the website and then it just didn't get migrated over to the new website. That's kind of what it sounded like. But go ahead and check out the AMA if you want to watch the entire thing right here. It's worth checking out. If you're going to invest in this project, don't just go off this fundamental analysis. Do your own research. You know, you're the one that's got to make the decision to do this. I'm just telling you about the project and giving you some information to help make that decision. I'm not a financial advisor. You really need to do your own research on this. But hopefully this information helps you to make that decision. So first thing, let's jump into their website. Now you can see they've got the standard layout. I like the graphics. I think it's a very well designed website. I didn't see any spelling or grammatical stuff in there, so I'm going to lay that out there now. There's none of that stuff. Same thing in their white paper. Now the white paper, when I was looking at it on Friday, wasn't there. So that was one of the things that they added to that. So we'll take a look at their white paper as well. Now, as far as their use case, it's first thing up. And that's DAPP. What is DAPP? It is essentially peer-to-peer transfers. Look at it like this. Do you remember your wallet address? Do you know all those digits that go into your wallet address? I know I don't. That's what DAPP attempts to fix, is instead of a wallet address, it's a person. It's a name. It's a person's name, or however they want to be recognized. So instead of having to remember everybody's wallet address, you just have to know their username. And then you can safe and easily transfer cryptocurrency to that person. That's awesome, right? That's a great use case. And I've heard of a couple other projects that are trying to do something similar. They've already got a use case that's already up and running. And they're continuing to develop the system, but the capability is already there. Now, as far as social media, they've got Twitter, Discord, Telegram, all the typical stuff that you would see. Let's keep going down here. Now, the tokenomics are both awesome and something to be concerned about, and let me get into that. So for buying, you get 3.5 back in BUSD, similar to Evergrow, but not as much. But then you get another 3.5 back as ADA or Cardano. So very different than a lot of other tokens. You're getting essentially two different tokens back. One of them is tied to the dollar, and the other one is potentially increasing in price over time. And then 0.7% goes to burn liquidity and 0.3% to marketing. Now here's where things really jump, is on the sell. So 8.75 back to you as a BUSD and 8.7 back to you as an ADA distribution, that's a pretty significant on a sell return to you as rewards. And then there's the 1.75% burn liquidity and the 0.75% for marketing. So 8% for buying and 20% for selling is a ridiculously large amount of rewards. And here's my concern with 20%. That's a high sell rate. And there's others like this that are in the 20% range. Their growth has been stagnant for some degree. Now, I don't know if that's because of the projects. Some of them I didn't invest in. Some of them had doxed teams and are still having this barrier. And I wonder if 20% is just too high. And I've had that same concern for a lot of projects, even SafeMoon at 10%. I was concerned about what is the long-term viability of having something with a fee that high. 20% is pretty high, but people are still buying and people are still selling. I just don't know long-term how successful 20% is. Now, keep in mind, I bought in it. Now, that doesn't mean I spend $100,000 on this particular project. Even if I had that kind of money, I probably wouldn't put that kind of money into it. But the team, you got to watch the AMA. A whole bunch of prior military guys that are on this team, and generally I tend to, I'm you've seen my wall. I've got plenty of military stuff back there. Clearly, I was in the military. I tend to give them a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt, I suppose, because I know what goes into making military people. And generally speaking, most of them understand responsibility and what it means to be responsible for other people's money or their livelihood. And that's kind of what we talk about when we talk about tokenomics and tokens in general. There's a lot of people investing in these projects, and I think they understand the responsibility that goes with making sure that this project is successful. And I think as military members or prior military members, I think they understand that even more so, just because they've had to take care of military members for however long they were in the military. So I tend to give them a little bit more benefit of the doubt. And when I heard that, that was a huge point for me. That doesn't mean that they're going to be successful. So again, I didn't put a ton of money into the project, mainly because I just don't have a ton of money. And again, I'm really concerned about a 20% selling fee on, there's got to be a limit, right? Because if there wasn't a limit, you could set 99% sell fee and it would be successful. But reality is nobody's going to buy it if they lose 99% of their investment on sell, right? So there's going to be some sort of a limit on what is too high for a tax. And I don't know if 20% is too high, but I don't know that it's not. So I gambled and I put a little bit of money on it. But let me go through the rest of the fundamental analysis on this before you make any decisions. But that is a concern that you should think about, is what is too high for a sales tax? 8% I think is fine for the buy tax. But are they excluding part of the market by having a 20% sale tax? What is a trader going to do with that? Is this ever going to be something that's traded on major exchanges? Because a lot of volume comes from those day traders. Because if everybody just buys and nobody ever sells, can that project be successful? And those are all great questions. We don't have the answers to them. That's something you have to decide for yourself. Is 20% realistic? Is that something that can work out? I don't know. And maybe, like I said in previous videos, maybe it just means you don't invest as much. Again, you have to kind of do the risk assessment and see whether that's something that you're interested in or not. Let's keep going. So they have the contract information here, which is always great. I love it when they put all of the, and these you can link straight to these as well, but all the different wallets, you can actually go look at what's in them. So if you click on these, it'll open up BSC, and you can actually go look at that. And again, I like this peer-to-peer. Again, that's a use case already. And here's another thing. 1 trillion for the total supply. Most of the projects that we've been talking about are in the 1 quadrillions or the 100 quadrillions or the quintillions. 1 trillion, and that's already significantly lower than pretty much every project that I've talked about on this channel. I think the closest to 1 trillion might be SHIB, maybe. I think they've got about 394 trillion left, but you can see they're almost 400 times more. And they burned 100 billion. So they've already burned a good chunk of that 1 trillion on launch. So let's keep going down this thing here. So they've got the roadmap on here. Now when we look at this, we can see, again, one of the things I look for on these, and this was done before I did that Friday AMA, but they list what's done and what's not done yet. Now, what I would suggest here is they've got most of this year kind of knocked out already. Growth and marketing, I consider that kind of a continuous action. So I don't necessarily, I mean, I like to see it because they're thinking about it, but that's kind of continuous. They're always looking at marketing and getting people to adopt this particular token or buy into it. I don't know what the ADAPP phase 2 exactly is. They didn't really specify that during the AMA. There might be more information out there in previous discussions, but I would say that they probably need to start looking at the roadmap further out. So this will be one of those things where I say, is it up to date? Not really, because we're coming up on the end of the year and there's only a handful of things on here that aren't already done. So what's next? Now, I'm going to incorporate some of the AMA as we go through. They've already identified a couple potential businesses that are interested in using ADAPP as part of their business model. And that's huge, because you're talking about business incorporation, not just holders. And I think that's one of the benefits of this particular protocol, is that it's probably a little bit easier for businesses to adopt it as well. Now let's keep going down. Now this explains kind of their why, is the way to really summarize it. This is good information. I'm not going to cover too in depth at this particular point. This is good information for you to go take a look at and read on your own, but it's not really relevant to the fundamental analysis, other than to say that this is good information to put on a website. So let's go back up to the top. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the rewards DAPP. And this is going to look familiar. So again, you can connect your wallet up here and then you'll be able to see your distributions. And then you can also claim now, or it'll do it when it makes sense to, based off of the gas fees you're going to pay with the Binance Smart Chain. So you'll get those automatic rewards, just kind of like a lot of other tokens out there. And you can see they're still developing this out, but this does work. So if you connect your wallet up here, it will work. And let's head back to the main website. Now, as you can see, we've got a white paper up here, so we'll go ahead and check that out. So the white paper doesn't have a lot of information in it, but it's got good information. A lot of it is the same stuff that's on the website. And if you go through here, this is really the point of the white paper that really stands out, is again the emphasis on we already have a use case because they have the DAPP system. And that's a huge part. Most of your tokens don't launch with a use case already ready to go. And in this case, they do. Now, this is the last page of this, I think, or pretty much the last page of it. This is an interesting way to do your purchase of tokens. Now, this is not necessarily recommended for people that don't know what they're doing, but you can follow these directions and get the tokens this way instead of going through a swap. I've seen this a couple different times, and I've actually used this on a couple of projects out there. What you do is you send BEP20, and this is why I said this isn't necessarily for everybody, because there's some people that still may not know the difference between BNB and BSC and what the difference between a BEP2 and a BEP20 token is. So if you're not 100% sure with what you're doing, just use the regular swap process to buy this particular token. But if you feel 100% confident that you know what you're doing, you can do this and bypass the swap process entirely. And it does work. Like I said, I've done it for a couple different projects at this point, and I suspect I know where they got the idea for this. Now, you probably noticed, where's the audit? I'm sure they had a security audit, right? Well, they did. It's just not on their website. So they did have a security audit, and they did do really well, but they didn't leave it on their website. I would recommend that they leave that on their website, because nobody is going to go looking for it. And they didn't even mention on here who did it. Now, fortunately, I asked this question at the AMA, so they told me about it, and then I reached out and they sent it to me. So we'll take a look at the security audit. That was just luck that the AMA happened to be on the same day, because it would have been a 0 for this fundamental analysis for that aspect of it. So I still recommend that they put it on the website, because every potential investor goes to the website first. And no matter how they find out about it, almost everybody's going to go look at the website. So the website's it really needs to answer all of the important questions as far as security. You'll also notice the team's not doxed. That's a huge selling point, is having a doxed team, because these days you got to worry, are they going to run off with your money? But let's go take a look at that security audit and see how they did. Now, I'll put the link to this in the description so that you can go take a look at it yourself. But Bitrise did their audit. Now, they talked about trying to get like a CERDIC audit, but CERDIC is backed up until January. So everybody recognizes CERDIC is a pretty good audit, but there are so many tokens getting created that they're backed up, because everybody wants a CERDIC audit. And there's a couple other good ones that they're also considering as well, that are considered high quality audits. So as you can see, they got a 97%, that's phenomenal. That's better than a lot of audits out there. And even better, I don't have to guess at what points to give them. I know exactly what points to give them for the fundamental analysis, which I appreciate. But you can see that they didn't really have any issues. So passed, low, and passed. So you can see, not a real problem anywhere. All right, so now that we're back on the main website, let's go ahead and click Adapt now and take a look at it. So this is their Adapt main page. I'm not exactly sure what to qualify this as, because it's not really going to be a swap. It's more of like a software. So I'm going to consider this a software for our fundamental analysis. So for the DAPP system, you're supposed to be able to sign in here and connect your wallet and set a username. And then you'll have to upload a picture. I can't show it to you from the web browser. It seems to work better with MetaMask, and I've said it a couple different times, I'm not a huge fan of MetaMask. I prefer Trust Wallet, so that's what I use. And I'm not going to migrate over to MetaMask just to use this system. So again, it's just a minimum viable product right now, so eventually this will work better with other wallets. I suspect it'll work with SafeAffinity Wallet, Trust Wallet, and probably a couple others as well eventually. But right now I can't show you this. I did log in, and I was able to connect my wallet through the Trust Wallet DAPP. Talking with people on Discord, it automatically disconnects you. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that or not. I like the idea of automatic disconnects, but there's a sense of security when you go and hit the disconnect button and you physically see that you're disconnected. I prefer that just because I'm used to it. I don't have to rely on whether the system did it or not. So I ended up going back in and just making sure that I was disconnected, and sure enough I was. So I was okay with that, but I will say that when I was looking at it through the DAPP on my phone, it needs, I don't think it's designed for working out of the phone. I'm just going to be honest. It wasn't very impressive, but again, I don't have like a huge phone, so maybe if I had a bigger phone, it would look better, but it was all spread out and things were just not, it wasn't user-friendly on the phone right now. I suspect it's a lot better if I could sign in on the web browser, but I can't show you that. And if I show you the phone, you're going to have the same reaction I did, so it's not really any benefit to doing that. My recommendation is, unless you really, really want to use this feature, wait for some upgrades to the product so that it's a little easier and more user-friendly for use. But it did work. It allowed me to create a username. It allowed me, I had to upload a image file. Kind of unrelated to this, but I did kind of want to talk to it because it does use the ADAPP system as well. During the AMA, they mentioned that they're coming out with a wallet also that is going to have ADAPP fully integrated into it, plus the ability to send messages to people and all the same capabilities of the DAPP system. So a very interesting approach to a wallet. I'm really excited to see what they come up with, because if it uses this, it could potentially be a very user-friendly wallet. It'll be kind of like an instant messaging crypto app where you select who you want to send to based off of your friends list and just send them what you are trying to send them. And then you can send them messages about, hey, I just sent you this, did you get it? And you can confirm really easy. So I really like the idea, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with it and where they go with it, and what other capabilities they build it in the wallet. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to look like and how they differentiate themselves from other wallets. I mean, DAPP system's already going to do that, because I don't think anybody else is really doing that as far as their wallets right now. I think SafeMoon was talking about it, so I think SafeMoon's working on it as well. Now, one of the cool things that they mentioned for transfers, what they would like to be able to do is, especially for the Affinity token, is instead of having those high fees for buys and sells, right now the fee that would be used for sending this to somebody would be the 8%, so basically your buy fee. They would like to drop that down to, say, 0.75 or some smaller percentage to encourage people to send peer-to-peer. When that's going to happen wasn't entirely clear in the AMA, but that's something they're looking at, which is great. That's one of the complaints I've had with a lot of other tokens, is they don't make sense to send to people. And I got it. Buys and sells are important for building up those rewards and volume and everything else, but you're missing a huge segment of the population by not allowing for lower fees for transferring between people. Because who's going to pay 20% or 14% or 24% for a person-to-person transfer of anything? That's ridiculous. So that's phenomenal. And one of the things that they also talked about is, provided that other tokens are willing to do the same, they'll list them on here and lower the rate as well. I suspect that other tokens probably won't take advantage of that because they're going to lose out on those rewards. Because if they could do that, they would do it themselves, and they won't do that either. So there's only a few tokens I've heard of that are actually going to drop their rate down to allow for transfer to transfer between people. Because, here's a great way to look at it. Let's say that your tokenomics are buy and sell 10%. Now, for peer-to-peer, you're less likely to send that with a 10% fee. It's just reality. Who's going to lose 10% of whatever they're going to send to do that? It just doesn't make sense to do it. But if you open it up, and let's say you drop it down to 1%, that 10%, you make that back every 10 times. How many people are going to do peer-to-peer transfers if it's 1%? I bet you a lot. I bet you it'll be gifted. I bet you're, especially if it's about to take off or they suspect it'll take off, they will be gifting this to their family and friends. Here's $10 or here's $20 or here's $100, depending on what they want to give away. It turns into a gift at the holiday season. So if you drop it down from whatever rate you currently are, for every X number of people, you get that reward back, and you're probably not getting any of that right now. So that's really the power of peer-to-peer for projects that do the math and say, yes, it makes sense. And maybe it's not 1%, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, but not 20 and not 8. Whatever that magic number happens to be, and drop it to that number, it's probably going to become industry standard because, again, the more people that are transferring it, the more volume, the more rewards. The more rewards going back to the holders. That's a huge selling point because nobody's going to do 20%. Or it's going to be a very small number. Maybe it'll be a few, but you'll get a lot more with a lower number. So how do they do? Not too well. And again, part of it is because the team's not doxed. They haven't doxed themselves on the website. And that's a big red flag. That's a big risk indicator for any project. If you're not willing to stand by your project and put your face right on the website with your name, as an investor, that should be a huge red flag for you. Because what's stopping them from changing the tokenomics and just pulling out of their project and rug pulling? Because it's possible. They have a lot of control over the contracts. There's a lot of different things that a development team can do to rug pull. And they invent new ways all the time. So I put a lot of emphasis on teams that dox, because if your face is out there, it means you stand behind your project. Put it on your website. Every investor should be able to go to your website and see what is the team that is putting this project together. And if you stand behind your project, that shouldn't be hard to do. A lot of business owners have no problem doing exactly that. Why, if you want to be in charge of billions of dollars, should anybody trust you if you're not willing to put your face out there and your reputation online? If this token fails, you really shouldn't be doing tokens. I'm just being realistic here. And if you don't think it's going to be successful when you can't put your face on it, that's kind of how I see it. Now, again, I invested a little bit. That's the question you've got to answer is, hey, they didn't dox themselves. How much does that matter? Well, let's go through this thing. So is the website visually appealing? Yes. I didn't see any spelling, no grammar. I didn't see any website errors. The team's not listed in any way, shape, or form. There's no contact method. Now, they do have social media. When I say contact method, I'm saying, is there a way to email the team if you got a problem? You can reach out and ask for help. And there isn't. Now, they do have Discord, they do have Telegram, they do have all the social media stuff out there, but how do you know you're talking to the team? I don't know. So I look for, especially since you're talking about a use case that potentially businesses are going to be using, you need to have a point of contact. And maybe that's down the road. Once their market cap reaches a certain point and they can afford to bring more people on, maybe that's something they're planning on doing. But that's just something to look for. And again, it's not a lot of points. 4 points is not a huge point when you're talking about 568. But it matters. It's part of the process here. If this project had been around for a little bit longer, maybe they would already have that. So because this project is so new, there's certain things that are going to bring this score down a little bit. The security audit is not listed. Now, we did look at it, but it's still not listed on the website. Again, this is about the risk. And the risk is more than just the security and the doxing of the team. What is the risk to success? What is the risk to adoption? To more holders, to getting those hundreds of thousands of people to invest in this project? And if they can't find a security audit, are they going to keep looking? Are they going to invest? You've got a token that doesn't have a docs team and no security audit readily available on their website. That's two huge red flags that say go to the next website, because there's thousands of choices out there for tokens. You need them to stay at your website, and in order to do that, you have to appeal to them. And how do you appeal to them? You present a secure token that they want to invest in. Is the price listed? No. Market cap? No. There's no how to buy information other than to send money from their white paper. Basically to that was the only how to buy. Most people are not going to feel comfortable with that, especially for a team that's not doxed and there's no security audit. They're probably not going to buy off on that. And that's not really what I'm talking about anyway. I'm talking about, is there a tutorial that says, for a brand new to the crypto space, how do I buy this? Because they don't even know what a wallet is. And did you show them Trust Wallet, or did you show them MetaMask? Did you give them the options? Did you recommend one that you prefer? How does PancakeSwap work? How do I even send between wallet addresses? So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into a how-to that isn't covered on most websites these days. And again, you're trying to make this as easy as possible for everybody that lands on your website, especially those new people that are finally trying to get into crypto, because crypto's blowing up right now. The easier you can make it for them, the more likely they are to actually buy your token. They do have an audit score, so I put that in there. They have a roadmap. It's current-ish. I would say that they need to push it off a little bit more. There's really two things on there, and I went back and forth on whether to make this yes or no. Is it unique? Yes. No spelling, no grammar. White paper, I didn't see any problems with the white paper. Development team's not known. That's 60 points. That's a huge number. So let's say they dox themselves. What does that do? That changes quite a bit right there. Let's say they put their security audit on their website. You can see those are huge aspects. I weight those heavily. Now there's some other things, they don't have a lot of holders, so that doesn't get them a lot of points there. They don't have a galaxy score, which is kind of that social score, even though I've kind of got some of the social here as well. So that's why this project is rated the way that it is, pretty low. And you can kind of take that into consideration when you're trying to assess this as well. Those are simple things that this project could do to get a better picture for the investor. Maybe they're more likely to invest in it. At least that's my approach to doing fundamental analysis. These are all the fundamentals of a project that are going to make it successful or make it flop. They have a token, no blockchain, no NFTs, no wallet, no exchange, no swap, no games. I'm going to call DAPP software because I think that's the most appropriate way to look at it, because it's not really a swap, it's not really an exchange, it's not really a wallet. So we'll call it a software. No country recognition, no legal tender. They are a very new project with only 4,000 holders. And again, this is why I was trying to get this project done in the last couple of days, because if this one takes off, the price is probably going to shift with it as well. And with 1 trillion tokens, you can see it's already got a price pretty comparable with a lot of projects out there, and it doesn't have any holders. So this price has the potential to shoot up quite a bit, and it's already shot up quite a bit in the last week or two. Now, Twitter and Discord, yes, they have both of those, but YouTube channels, there's not a lot of YouTube channels out there. There's a couple that are starting to cover it, but there's really not a dedicated YouTube base pushing out content. Now, I'm going to probably do updates on this, so that's one more person, but they're really just starting with the YouTube. And there is stuff out there. It's just, it's not, it's a new project is the best way to summarize it. So again, there's some drawbacks to being a new project when you're talking fundamental analysis, is they just don't have a lot out there yet. I would say for target audience is pretty good, especially since you can say pretty much everybody likes the idea of being able to send without having to know the wallet address, and now we can just look up a person, especially if you can branch off and have more cryptos than just the Affinity token. Imagine that. If you can send every token that you've got from one interface to anybody that you know that has a login, and it's that simple. Find Joe or whoever it is and hit send, and it's that easy. I consider the use case to be pretty good, especially when they start looking at businesses that are trying to do similar type things with crypto. So 214 out of 568. So what are the simple things? Like we said, the security audit posted on their website, they already have it done. Doxing at least the key members of the team. And I'm not saying every single person needs to be doxed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the CEO. I'm saying maybe the CTO. Maybe it's the marketing person or the website content creator. I'm not sure which members, but at the very least, the number one person should probably show their face, and probably a couple other people from the team couldn't hurt. But as long as you've got 2 or 3, that's really all anybody's looking for. They're looking for who to blame when the thing fails, and to make sure that if they ever do have a problem with this project and they go to a different project, anybody that bought this one's probably not going to buy that one because they've already failed at one project. That's really what it comes down to. When your reputation's on the line, you're more willing to put in the extra hours to make sure this is successful. That's all I wanted to cover today. Hopefully this content was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments. Is this a project you plan on investing in? And again, I already invested. I don't pull punches no matter what. It's an F, and I invested. And I've mentioned this before, that I've invested in projects that have Fs before. Heck, the first time I did SHIB, it got an F. And look at where SHIB is right now. This is not an indicator of success. This is an indicator of risk. And right now, this project has a lot of risk factors. And you need to weigh those risk factors and see how much they matter to you. Until next time, stay strong with those diamond hands. Crypto Newbie here to tell you how you can get $2,340 in free stocks. All the links I use in this video are in the description. Sign up for Webull and get 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. Your first stock is free automatically. Deposit any amount and you get your second stock. Deposit 1 penny and you get your second stock. Total value could be up to $2,300. Generally $5 per stock is what you get. Next we have block fee. Get $10 in Bitcoin just for signing up. Read the fine print. I've got a rewards account. You'll get $40 in Bitcoin, as will I. So you know exactly what I'm going to get and what you're going to get. You do need to deposit $100 to get your $40 in Bitcoin. That's the overview how to get $2,340 just by signing up for accounts.